Hello and welcome, and it is almost 8 p.m. Eastern Time, crypto day, that of Thursday, 10th day of May 2018. Looking at really a random code on the 15-minute time frame, Gigabyte, down obviously, breaking down below some support at 6:15 p.m. I'm going to scroll this over and this way you can see the watch list codes that I have on the right hand side. Right now, currently sorted in chronological order by code name. Let's sort it by percentage change. So in the positive end, Poly up 5.42%. So and I only got so many codes on here, but I don't see too much in the green. Zen up 4.73. The short of the US dollar, or TUSD, up 3.4%, so Bitcoin's down about 3% and change. Monetary unit, which I'm really not even trading anymore, so I'm just going to take that one off the list. Core 1.7%, and then you got like the Dow Jones. It had a 200-point update today. Salus up 0.5%, or Salus, however it is pronounced. Gold silver ratio in at 79. The dollar index basically flat at 92. Silver 16 2/3. But there's the down moves, and we can see a fair amount of them. So a bunch down about 1-2%. Market's going to close relatively soon, as I think it closes at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and now further decline. And there we see some more. Even dope down 14%, down to 477, breaking this level of support. Decent sized down move, and now it's in the area where it came from here, and at this 457. But I don't really want to go over too much of these altcoins because they're basically all going down together. I do want to take a look quickly. I did a whole big video on Ethereum earlier today, so I'm just going to quickly go over this. I mean, this is looking fine. Nice little setup, short-term symmetrical triangle, but long-term symmetrical triangle as well. As we see the price action flat within the 18, you have this high with the lower high in here. Still work long ways away from this high, but making long-term higher lows. One here, one here, one here, and one here. And generally in neutral markets, where do I give the bias towards, or who should I shade one side or the other? Well, generally speaking, I would in long term here to the bulls, but it seems as if the entire crypto market is at an interesting state of, I don't know if I want to use the word indecision. I just don't know what word to use. But we're at a major point. I was trying to think of words back when I started trading over a decade ago. And one of the ones I came up with in 2008 was D/day. And I don't want to get this confirmed with any type of war scenarios, but it stands for decision day, as I was referring to it as I was learning. So decision day coming. And whatever day, obviously crypto day, when it happens, it's basically coming very soon. So let's scale this out, take a look at Bitcoin, but I want to take a look at this with a chart that I've made as well, because I'm trying to figure out how to do a weighted average or a running average from a particular level. And I haven't been able to figure out how to do it. I see VWAP, but I just can't figure it out. Okay, so here we are. Like, this is a situation where you've had these lower highs, and I've been talking about it ever since it was falling March 11th, that we're in territory where we could easily break down below a previously tested 6,000 Fibonacci supported area before and play 3,000. Nothing has been done to destroy that setup because it's continuously still making lower highs and lower lows. On the contrary, any type of break of where we are now on this 18 that starts to bring this lower 18 starting to roll over, well, that's in a situation where now we're looking for the correctionary move for this statement that was made breaking above the 18 average on April the 19th-ish time frame. So a lot of conflicting messages that I see present. Now what I did earlier today was I made some images from data on Bitcoin that I did from a spreadsheet because I could do running averages from particular highs and lows. So let's start looking at that now. And as Bitcoin stands, this is going back a long, long time, a couple thousands of days now, several years. And the orange line is a running average from the highs of about a half a decade ago that got a little over 1,000, then the Mt. Gox incident containing or happening shortly thereafter that. So original, I'm going to look at this more shorter term or another chart shortly to look at it more clearly, but original resistance in here, resist it here, so the selling still continues. I love this indicator because it does a good job in my view and letting you know who's in control and when a reversal will take place. Maybe a little delayed, but still does a good job nonetheless. So there's resisting this point here. Now obviously getting in here was a good time to get into Bitcoin. But according to this running average, we can see how it had an indecisive mode, basically a D-Day moment coming soon, if you will, at that point. But the D-Day was decided to have this breakout, successfully corrected, and then off she goes. And then this average is now lost, if you will. It's only good on any major deep corrections at this point. So let's just take a look at this chart, ignoring the recent time frames, but looking at it for its reversal purposes. And within such, so here's the big move lower. It manages to come up to it. It originally broke above it, and when it had its correctionary phase, it ultimately failed, having this down move. And there's your correctionary place again, resisting amongst such, and the massive move. So it is well below it at this point. And the move in here makes the higher low. So this was the major point again, and then it obviously broke it to the upside. So let's take a look at this on a current level and take a look at this from the most recent high at the end of last year. And within this one in here, there's the first fall from the high, comes up to the running average as resistance, has a small try to get above break in here, ultimately fails, and then the big move lower. This level close, piercing below it. So obviously it has to do something to break this line right now to do something about this downtrend. And when we look at this as we stand now, exactly the same as it was before, piercing below this line here. And any price action that comes in here, it's going to be up to the short-term time frames to ensure that if you get a higher low at this point, that you get some sort of bullish setup as like a best case scenario for when things aren't looking so good. And running averages work from both lows and support. And if you have any deeper pullbacks, then I'm not going to do any lows from like here, but I do want to see it from both this low and this low. So I'm going to keep the upper line in and add two more lines from each of the two lows as the next chart will now be presented. And I actually forgot to make an image of it and put it on my PNG image. So this is the data draw from the spreadsheet. So there's the high, which we can see hasn't got above it yet. It's got to have a nice clear break about 10,300 or 10,400 to get above that number. This purple line from row number 258, or the winter lows of about $6,000. Some exchanges barely above, some exchanges barely below. So we'll say 6,000 even. it managed to, on its rally, support it once within the double top formation. So there was a little crunch mode, a decision point here, and the decision was made that it was going to go lower, because during the double top time frame that was going on, price was above the low area and it was below this area here, so it had to resolve itself one direction or the other. But when it resolved its direction to the downside, it failed to make a new low. And when it had its opportunity to do what it was supposed to do, it didn't resist this purple line at about 8,500 or so. Rather, it's been holding above it the entire run. But now as we see it, it's supporting this purple line. This green line from this low is getting very close to this area. So the 8,000-ish or so number. We got Fibonacci at 8,000. We got these two lines like at 88, 83-ish area. And then the resistance number here at 10.2. I also have, just by looking at the numbers I've been talking about, clear break above 10,000 as that indicator would look. When I go back to the actual chart of Bitcoin and look at it on a longer term perspective, and I will so with now the Bitstamp exchange and the 20-day time frame, where price action after lifting off from the 18 average of lows in March of last year at about a little south of $1,000 per coin, has now finally managed to make it back to the correctionary phase it entered such when it was at 10,300. The 18 average of lows got below 7,000 as its rise towards its point. Ever since it made it to the 18 average of lows, its previous period, it broke out above the, with the green candle, a little further, but still within this 18 average. I don't know how many days we're into the 20-day session, but that's not important here. What is important to note, yes, it's in the correctionary phase. And if this level fails, what's the scenario? At least one leg lower, and that line drawn in at about 3,000 would most certainly pass what I call the blind test, what looks right by the human eye. And that's a significant size move, especially when people look at it psychology-wise like it's the end of the world, as it was the end of the world for some people going down to 6,000. Of course, we can see it's been in a major uptrend. So if I'm trying to give bias to any kind of neutrality, well, that's why I'm still decently long, very long rather, within the cryptocurrency game. But of course, when I say such, that's because I will take out crypto profits every so often into well, things like precious metals and so on. But as I've been stating, I was like 11 or 10,300, 400. And getting above that point to get above the running average. And the 18 average of highs right now is in at 10,789 on this time frame. So I know it's got to get above that number. So this is basically telling me 11,000 and change, closer to 12. Getting above that is showing you it's leaving correctionary mode. It was in a spectacular bull market, and it's doing the job of resuming such after what would be, or what would looking to be such, of a very successful correction when looking this on a logarithmic scale. After all, if I don't look at it on a log scale, it looks like that. I'm not a big fan of charts looking like that, because that tells me, oh, what happened with Bitcoin in 2014, 15, and 16? Nothing. Oh, what's happening right now with Bitcoin? Nothing. Why? Well, I know Bitcoin's going to go way high. I mean, we're going to see Bitcoin prices like 240,000. So, I mean, this is doing nothing right now. Oh, okay. So the whole point of it is, to me, that's how markets move logarithmically as far as how it plays out. Because back in here, it had a big move going from 230 up to like 500. That's a 100% move. But if I look at the log scale, you can see how unclearly that is. Okay, enough on that. So the whole point of what I'm saying here is we're in a very, very interesting situation of the indecision. It's got to make it one way or another, and I can't tell you, oh, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. I'm going to go to a magic 8 ball, or I'm going to just, there's no mathematics I can crunch that's going to tell me what the answer is going to be. So I'm just going to let it play through, let the market do what it needs to do, and that will be it. So just wanted to go over this. Thank you for tuning in to this video, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.